There we go.
That's where it's, hopefully we'll stay focused.
I've never done one of these. So.
Really? Okay.
I just sit on my back porch and do this before I go fishing. Well, anyway, this is a little foam and pine squirrel zonker mouse pattern that Joe Sermule from Field and Stream came up with a couple of years ago. Joe was going mousing somewhere in upstate New York, and he cycled through a whole bunch of different patterns, and he ties this on a 2/0 or something. I tie it on a size 8 and throw it with my 2/8 and my 3/8. And I've tied some bigger ones too. I've caught everything on this from, even this size 8 will catch big bass. And I don't know if they think it looks like a mouse. I mean, it's pretty small for a mouse. I don't know what they think it looks like, but they like it. All the sunfish will eat it. Brook trout will eat it. And redfish will eat it. I've caught one carp on it and two Rio Grande cichlids. So it's a pretty great little pattern. And it's just, I don't know about you guys, I know that subsurface flies, wet flies are oftentimes more effective for sheer numbers of fish, but for sheer joy of fishing, I much prefer to fish on top and see the eats or the blow-ups. It's called Joe calls it a master splinter mouse, and there probably are tutorials online how to tie it. I call it the mini master splinter. Master Splinter Mouse, I think, is in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character or something. And I do a couple of things different on mine, starting with these Firehole 839s. These are fairly heavy barbless streamer hooks. And they're fine hooks. I really like them. I use a lot of their hooks for different things.
Call a mini master what?
Splinter mouse.
Splinter mouse.
Or just a mini master splinter. So the ingredients are the recipe is super simple. It consists of foam. Living Waters and Round Rock had these topwater fly foam strips, and I don't know where they got them, but that's what they say. And they are two-toned. They're a little more than 2 millimeters thick, I think. Not quite 4. I'm going to say they're 3. These are about perfect, just as they are for a size 8. Or you can cut your own. Let's see if I can find. I brought some. I know I did. And this is just hairline 2 millimeter. I've tied this in every color. I caught a warmouth on a green one day. My oldest boy went to Abilene Christian University, and so I tied up a bunch of purple ones for him, and he caught a bunch of fish. So I don't think it matters. So we'll start with the hook.
I was trying to see for
This is a real quick tie. I would call this a guide fly almost. I mean, it's a quick and easy tie, and they're really durable. I think we'll start with the tan one, maybe. So we're just going to lay a thread base all the way back to the bend.
What weight thread exactly?
This is 140. I would actually use 210 if I had some in my bag, because I can really crank on that foam. There's nothing delicate about this. This is UTC Ultra. You guys can see that. All right, I'm gonna leave it back there. I'm gonna go get me a little pine squirrel zonker strip there, about like that. I'm gonna pluck it down to the tail, the very end. And then I'm going to leave a little tuft on the end there, and that's really going to give that tail a lot of motion. This is essentially a tiny gurgler. And I'm going to tie this with the hair down. I don't know that it matters a whole lot. When I'm using these thicker strips, this might even be 4mm actually. When I'm using these thicker strips, I don't double it. Joe Samil does not double his for the bigger flies. When I'm using the 2mm, I double the foam just to keep it nice and high, and especially with these heavier hooks. I'm going to go ahead and taper the foam. Do some loose wraps to capture it. And then I'm going to start wrapping that foam down as thin as I can. I'm going to go back and give me another zonker strip. I'm going to just pluck a little bit of the fur off the leather. I'm going to tie it in right here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of quick whip finishes in there, maybe.
See if we get that camera to focus.
There we go.
Was it on autofocus?
I don't know, I just left it how,
This is good really now.
I really don't know.
I want to set it to manual.
There you go.
There we go. All right. I'm just going to wrap that fur up there.
What kind of fur is that?
It's pine squirrel. This is the natural pine squirrel strips or pine squirrel zonkers. I'll pull the package up here in a sec. So Joe used rabbit zonkers for his big flies. You can use rabbit. If you use rabbit, you're going to want to shorten it and thin it out a little bit. I've even used it for the small ones. I'm going to kind of pinch that fur back. Go ahead and give it a few wraps there to make sure that.
Never heard of pine squirrel.
No?
You know, where's that come from?
So these are micro pine squirrel zonkers.
They came out about, what, 3 years ago, they became pretty popular, I think.
Did they? So it's a Wapsi product apparently. All right.
Landon Mayer, what's his name, Landon Mayer?
Landon Mayer.
He bought it when he came down here that first time a couple of years ago. He has several flies tied with pine squirrel.
So I'm going to go ahead and just stroke this hair down on both sides pretty evenly. I'm going to pull the flap up, the foam Give that 4 or 5 good turns there. Then I'm going to double it back. And you can change the way the fly acts by how much of a head you leave on it. Some guys like to tie just a little round head on it that looks more like an actual mouse. I like kind of a big hammerhead on it to make it more of a gurgler and make more commotion on top. And to fish this fly, so the sunfish and bass act very differently towards it. Sunfish will, everything will hit it on the plop, of course, you know, but sunfish like to wait till it stops moving and then they'll try to get it. Bass always want it moving. I mean, they'll chase it down, but you always want to keep it moving just a little bit. So I just use real short strips, and it just kind of chugs through the water like a gurgler. All right, a few wraps there. I'm going to do 3 turns. I'm going to do another 3 turns. Trim that. And I'm sure the fish don't care, but I do, so I always separate the ears. That's it. Easy peasy.
That looks like a bass tying a mouse.
Yeah, I think the profile looks mousy, or maybe it looks buggy. I don't know what they think it is, but they like it. All right, now I'll tie one with just the regular foam. Again, this is the hairline 2mm. All right, throw that in there. Switch to,
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Was that tail rabbit or?
it's the same, it's all the same thing. It's all the the pine squirrel micro zonkers. So we're UTC 140 black. And again, I would use 210 if I had it in my bag. I don't know if you overheard me say earlier to Legant, I'm nobody's expert fly tyer. I tie maybe 7 or 8 freshwater patterns that I use a lot. I tie probably half a dozen saltwater patterns that I use a lot, and those are honestly most of the flies that I tie, as you can tell from my big old eyes.
So I noticed that you were from New York and down by Georgetown. How much time do you spend back and forth, or are you down here most of the time now, or?
So I actually went to college here in Dallas, at the University of Dallas in Irving. I grew up in Rockport, Texas, and have lived in the Austin area since '95. And I split my time. I live in Georgetown now. I split my time between Georgetown, when I'm just home and not working, and New York, where I'm a tugboat captain. So, and it's been really nice to get out of Texas this summer. Every 2 weeks, once a month, you know. And the striper blitz is about to be on up there for the fall, and so I'm going to take my 7 weight up and maybe do a little fishing off the back of the boat when we're not busy. All right, so again, I've just got another little black dyed pine squirrel zonker there, mini zonker. And this one's already cut, so I'm going to go ahead and tie that in. Got these strips that I cut. I'm going to go ahead and double one over. I've done this both ways. It doesn't really matter which end you trim. Sometimes I do the open end, sometimes I do the folded part. Just make a little arrow there to kind of reduce the bulk. And I think the way Joe does it is he goes all the way up to the eye of the hook with his foam. When you start, I don't think it matters. I used to do that. I don't anymore.
Do you use different colors or just mostly gray?
I've used all sorts of colors. I've used glitter. I've used, excuse me, orange and black, a Halloween fly, purple, white. I went to the craft store and got a huge thing of foam.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I still have it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Back east, a friend of mine tied gurglers using white and red, foam and then the red.
And did that work out well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they make a good little noise too.
Yep.
If you pop them correctly.
Yeah, this fly could make a lot of commotion, or just a little, or you can just do a little chug, you know, and. Just going to do a couple of turns there because I'm going to go ahead and use the rotary function. And this is a very, as you can see, a very unfussy fly. You don't have to worry about crowding the eye. You don't have to worry about, you could palmer that much sparser if you wanted to, or thicker, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to stroke it back a little bit, pinch it back there. Give it a few more wraps. Now I'm going to pull both of these strips forward. Or actually, I'm going to stroke this down, split it. Now, when I'm using the doubled 2mm foam, I go ahead and cut the back one off right there. And now I'm just going to double the one that's left. And I don't worry too much about this right here that I didn't get stroked back. It's, I don't know, maybe it looks like whiskers, yeah, exactly. So that's it. That's all there is to it, to the Mini Master Splinter Mouse. And I meant to bring in a big one. I had a big one in my saltwater box and meant to bring it in from the car, but forgot. And I'll tie a few more. Pardon?
How did you catch a carp?
It was actually a buddy that I was fishing with, and I have no idea. I saw the eat. We were bass fishing in the North San Gabriel above Lake Georgetown, way out in Burnett County, and he there must have been something falling out of the trees that they were eating, is all I can figure, whether there were caterpillars or some kind of berries or something up there. But when it plopped, he came up and just grabbed it. It was a real surprise, for sure. Today's carp we're eating purple in the Trinity at Leela.
Today?
Pardon?
You say you're fishing today?
Right before I came here. Yeah.
Right below the dam?
Right below the dam, yeah. Left my buddies on the river. They should be here anytime.
How much water was there?
I think it was about 180. It was very comfortable at 180, and did the lake invert recently or something? Someone told me it's a little stinky, but
Lake's low, about 4 or 5 feet.
it is low.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the river was, I mean, it was quite easily wadable, and I'd never been there, so it was fun for me. My buddy Greg says he usually fishes it a little higher than that, and pardon?
Wet wading?
Wet wading? Yes, sir. Yeah.
And we did an entomology class there.
Oh, there were a ton of bugs. It was really interesting.
Yeah,
I
we
was.
held the mice.
Uh-huh. So again, I'm going to take this little piece that's already cut. I'm going to pluck the hair. This makes fine dubbing, by the way, if you want to keep it.
So what fish were at you with today? Was there white bass there?
I did not see any white bass. The only fish I saw were carp and buffalo. Greg tells me there's a little bit of everything there. White bass, yellow bass, largemouth bass, spotted bass. Actually,
So what pattern were you catching buffalo?
that was about 2 hours ago. So, what pattern? I was throwing one of Greg's patterns called a demon craw, and I think it was on a size 8 or 10, and David was throwing. I got 2 eats. David was throwing another of Greg's patterns, which I don't know the name of. I'll ask him when he gets here, but it was purple and fairly large, actually. And he actually had a fish chase that down, which was exciting. But I am definitely coming back for some more of that, because that was just a hoot. And what a great place to, so easy to get in and out, and bottom was good.
About half a mile, 3/4 mile, the river gets pretty nice way to fish.
Yeah.
You were just fishing up near the tailwater.
No, we actually started below, right there where the parking lot, I guess, is, with the, if you take a hard right on that dirt road, we went straight down from there and then walked downstream. Probably about half a mile, maybe.
You didn't get to the railroad bridge.
No, we did not get to the railroad bridge. How far down is that? The railroad
Not
bridge?
much further than that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was right in the corner from where I stopped.
Nice hole there at the railroad bridge. This before. Once we were fishing there with a group of ballast fly fishers, we caught 12 different species.
Wow. Isn't that just fun? I mean, that's almost like fishing in saltwater, isn't it? You never know what's going to come up. All right, I tied this one in backwards, so I'm going to go the other way. This one's going to be a little bit sparser. I'm sorry, did I?
Come on, camera.
Arr. This is where hackle pliers would be helpful. There she is.
If we send one of those around the room to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? And they last forever. If I don't lose it in a tree or fish doesn't take it, I can fish one of those almost all summer, often. Anybody have any spectacular summer trips this year?
Going to Montana Saturday.
Oh, good for you.
Hopefully that's gonna be spectacular.
Yeah. I'm going to be talking about the Lampasas here in a little bit, and I almost died out there a couple of days ago. It's the last 106-degree day we had, and I did not hydrate sufficiently.
So Aaron, do you do guiding down in Austin?
I do not. I guided for a year down in South Texas, and it almost made me stop fishing. It is really hard work. The good guides are, my hat's off to them, and it's a lot of pressure. And I go fishing to not feel pressure, so yeah, that was a long time ago.
So basically, you can just type out anything you want on that color on that fly, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Is that purple?
No, this is I think they call it natural, but it's kind of a gray color.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're calling it natural.
These flies that he's tying is gonna be in the fly box, and we're looking for green ticket for the drawing later.
I didn't go back quite far enough on that one. It's a short mouse.
You want on the water, is this what you start with?
Pardon?
You start with this buy?
I'll start with it, and unless I'm just not getting any interest at all, I may never switch all day long. I just really enjoy it a lot. I have used it as an indicator as well, and put put some sort of little nymph or something under it. It works reasonably well for that. Sometimes the tail gets in the way, it wraps around the tippet, but
Is it, can you move your arms so they can see that?
yep,
well?
sorry.
Oh, that one doesn't have a tail? Or it does?
It does.
Oh, it does, I see. Just kind of blended in with the vibes there.
So do you mainly use this on moving water, or do you use it in the lake?
Everywhere. I don't fish many lakes, or I don't fish much still water at all. But I have used it in ponds and backwaters. Yeah, I'll use it everywhere. Moving water is great though. It kind of skated across a riffle or something and into the eddy, and bass love it.
So how do you make it gurgle?
Just real short little fast strips, and it'll almost walk like a topwater lure.
So do you like strip, stop?
Sometimes, but oftentimes the bass will lose interest if I stop it. So I keep it going,
Okay.
and at a fairly steady pace. Another way that people fish this, especially for brown trout, is long, kind of lurching strips. And I've caught fish that way with it.
When do they usually take it?
Pardon?
When do they take it? In terms of when
It's usually immediately when it hits or first moves, or after a long pursuit, and it's a great searching pattern. The water visibility doesn't have to be great, the clarity, and if there's a lot of junk in the water, filamentous algae or whatever, any kind of obstructions, it's great to fish. Doesn't do great in spatter dock or lily pads, but yeah, it's kind of just.
guard on it? Have you ever put
You
a
could
guard?
tie it with a guard. I have tied larger ones with a guard. Yeah.
We have a few minutes. Anybody have any more questions before we take our break?
I assume you don't put any floating on any of that?
No, it doesn't need anything. It floats great. And I want that fur and that tail to really move a lot,
We got started a little bit late. This was Aaron Reed, in case you don't remember his name, and I'll give him a better introduction when we have our presentation, but thank you, Aaron, for tying those flies.
You're welcome.
We're on break.
Hope somebody wins them and enjoys them.
Somebody will.
Yeah.
If not me. I can't begin it, so you know. None of the board members can win the incentive drawing.